So in my first video, I broke a little bit down on how I met my wife. And growing up in Detroit, how it's really rare you get exposed to different ethnic groups. The only time I think I saw Chinese people was when I was getting Chinese food in Detroit. So, I mean, your relationship to Chinese culture was through transaction, business, things of that nature, where it kind of felt like it was a power over relationship because you're going to their business for services, things of that nature. Or it might have been like a beauty supply store. You might see an agent in there. But outside of that, I didn't grow up in elementary school, middle school, high school with any Chinese people. So I didn't have any concept of um, marrying or dating into the Chinese culture. I used to think Chinese women prefer white men. I didn't even think Chinese women even dated black men from my experiences. I've never seen it. So growing up as a black male individually, you just, whenever you perceive a woman that is majority of the time seen with a culture that's sort of different or opposite to yours in your mind as a younger person, you just write that opportunity off. It's so different. And when I first sort of came to the reality of stepping into my manhood and what financial responsibility and financial security would look like as you're beginning to build a family. Growing up with my grandmother, she was the breadwinner. She paid the bills. My exposure to fiscal responsibility was through women. I think it pushed me even more to want to be financially independent because I just didn't feel value just depending on women for everything. I was very grateful, very thankful, very appreciative of the sacrifices my grandma made, but I just was really unclear on like what is my role as a man if I was to start my own family. So the belief started to develop like, I need to be the provider. I need to contribute. I need to financially support my household. The man should be in these positions. So that way, if the woman works, that's fine. If she doesn't, that's fine. But for me, it just felt like this is a role that I should be fulfilling. So I would say that was like the origins of the belief of I should be the provider. I should be contributing. I should be the one financially supporting my household. Um, Again, when I started dating, there wasn't a concept of like money being in the dating criteria. I wasn't evaluating women based on how much money she had. Growing up in Detroit, it felt like everybody was broke. You might have had individuals had different, expensive clothes, or maybe they may have inherited certain things that you didn't, but for the most part, it just felt like we all came from poverty growing up. So it wasn't even in the equation. Like, oh, let me, if anything, it would be looked like if you had too much money in the hood, people kind of carried themselves a little bit arrogantly, like they were better than you. So it was like in some ways, money was looked at like a bad thing. Like, oh, if you're not coming from the bottom, you're not humble, you don't really come off as grateful. So it just didn't really filter for me into, oh, I need to be looking for a woman with a salary or family background, possessions, or financial status. It just didn't feel manly or masculine for me. What mattered more to me was the compatibility, the person's character. Just treat a nigga right. Treat me good. Be respectful. you grow up seeing so much conflict between men and women. You just treat me with respect, be good to me, we can make it work. So I would attract a lot of people actually that were actually broke for the most part. And meeting someone from a completely different culture, it really showed me the differences in family expectations, financial education, saving, spending, responsibility, attitudes toward the future. It just really radically changed my view of the value and qualities that are a lot different in other cultures than the Black culture. Not saying all Black people are a monolith. You have a lot of affluent Black families. I didn't grow up in that to seeing them. So Chinese culture is very big on legacy and being prepared for the future, investing, even leaving something behind for their children. So they're very fiscally responsible. I'm mindful that not all Chinese people are created equally, so this doesn't necessarily apply to everybody. So it created a challenge for me meeting with my wife because I was so used to women being like beneath me financially. And I'm just saying it like this because I didn't look at them like they were lesser or less value to me. I wasn't looking at them as competition, essentially. Because for me growing up, the women who were on the right path to be maybe successful financially, they wasn't feeling me. I didn't have it. I wasn't that guy, you know. So I guess that kind of led me to lowering my standards a little bit. And I would say this was the first time me actually getting someone who could meet me halfway. Like, hey, you're not the only person coming into this relationship with something, you know. And it kind of led to a little bit of a power dynamic because here I am coming in like, you know, men should be the contributors, the producers, the one that, you know, runs the household and that pays the bills. And when you're meeting someone who is straight financially and they're kind of looking at you like beneath them, and she may happen to be a woman, it requires a radically different mindset and attitude towards money in situations like this, and that it really depends on the man, but it really pushed me to really challenge a lot of my beliefs about how money worked and who could potentially look like or be the breadwinner in relationships and what that means. So we both have different financial environments, different backgrounds, and the marriage in a lot of ways exposed me to circumstances and opportunities that were very unfamiliar to me. It was a really big psychological adjustment growing up in neighborhoods of very affluent or higher economic status than what I was used to. So even adjusting to the people in the neighborhood was different, where I got people looking at me like, what you doing here? You know, where are you in this environment? How did you get in? It almost feels like you're entering like a club of elitist in a lot of ways. And they're not used to seeing people who look like you at the door to get into this club. So when you get access or when you get in, it's a very different world. And it was a big psychological adjustment. And I had to learn that there was a mindset that I was carrying that I had to readjust. And learning financial security didn't necessarily mean I had to change my identity. It didn't mean I had to change my identity and who I am. So